Right, I think this is day 4 of this build. So what I've now done is I've attached this to the bicycle axle inside by drilling holes, bolting the nut, putting a nut on the end of the bolts and tightening them up onto the frame, and then welding them, if you can see, to the axle that's inside from the bicycle wheel. Then I've drilled a hole in the end, and I've welded a rod onto the end. So the idea is that as this turns, I can turn the hand up and down like this. So the next thing will be to remount this back on the door and go from there. What we've now got is this counterweight is on the arm. Turn that off then, it's noisy. Right, so we've got this counterweight, which is just right. A little bit of positive pressure. I need a little bit of positive pressure, but that's fine. So, so what's going to happen is this arm is resting in sort of this position, and will rise up. It will then go out. The hand will then turn like that, and it will go up and then turn, and it'll go down, and it'll do this 3 or 4 times, and then it will come back in and back down again. So the next stage, now we've got everything moving the way we want to do it, is to get motors onto it so that I can put power onto the motors and get them all to move in the right directions. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is mount the motors in the correct position. Here somewhere, so that when they turn, they pull this down and raise it up. So I normally use radiator brackets, are actually quite useful for these motors because they're the correct width. They have a strengthening elbow on them, angle on them. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so we've mounted this motor onto this. Oh, it looks like it might need a little bit of tightening. Onto this bracket, which can then be welded in the right place there. So what I've done then is I found this pulley. I've hammered a 6mm type of nut in there. One of these types of connector, hammered one of them in there, drilled it to be 6mm, and then drilled a hole inside it running down through and put a screw through it, and then drilled the shaft and put a screw through the shaft as well. So that's fairly solid. So that is going to do the action of pulling the arm up and down, and then I'll show you where that's mounted now. So this will be mounted here somewhere. I'm not just going to do it just yet until I've actually got the wire, because I want this wheel to be in perfect line to where it's going to pull the arm up and down. So that's that. Next, I've got to make the arm, the whole apparatus turn at the bottom of here. So I think one of my normal motors is probably not going to have enough power for this, so I've got a windscreen wiper motor where I've adjusted the gearbox inside, so it's just got a peg that comes out that rotates. It doesn't do the back and forth, it just rotates, and it rotates one way or the other depending on the plus and minus that you give to it. So I'm now going to mount that in place to turn. Right, so I attempted to put on a chain and a couple of pulleys, and realised that by trying to pull it with, I've welded this onto the bottom of here, I realised that the amount of tension, or the amount of power needed to turn this is actually quite great, because it's got this big heavy bar on the back of it. It has inertia to it, and to get it to start and stop moving is going to put a huge amount of pressure on whatever motor. These motors I've got are not strong enough, so I decided instead to use an electric window. So I've mounted the electric window on here. I bent the arm upwards. Hello, dog. of me talking, isn't it? Right, off you go then. Go and play, go on. Off you go, good girl. Right, so I put this arm on, and this will bring the arm round in and out, so it works like this. Okay, it doesn't work like this because it's not on. So that's a little bit higher than it should be. So when that gets to that level, the other motor can then drop the arm down to rest on this. And then for going back again, so that's that job done on that bit. So the next bit now is going to be to get a motor connected so that we can turn this to get the motion up and down that we need for it to swivel. That'll be next. Okay, so what I've now done is I've got a radiator bracket with a motor attached to it. I'll show you what, if I can get it to it. Right, yeah, so we've got that is attached to a motor, that motor there, and as it turns, it pulls and pushes on this lever, which then turns the arm. Now I can hear the motor struggling a little bit, but I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. So this is what it goes like when I make it run. And of course the actual so I'm quite pleased with that, that's quite good. So the arm will also be actually going up and down as well, and that is that bit working there. But I can hear it sort of struggling a little, so I don't know, I may have to look at some other way of doing this, but we'll try it. As with a lot of these things, it's a case of you keep trying it and different ways and see what works. So I'll have to stress test this and see if it carries on working fine. So that's it for day 4.